Yeah. Let's call to order this regular state planning and project meeting for the Fraser Park Public Utility District. This is Thursday, May 26th, 2022. We're beginning at 6:01. Pledge to the flag. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
We're more in unison here.
Yeah.
Roll call of directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Nyman,
Here.
Director Schoenberg. Here. Director Killing.
Here.
Gibson, I'm here. Vote, adjust the agenda.
Carlos, mute yourself,
necessary.
please.
And you said Garcia was absent, right?
Yes.
We need to.
So do we need to, we'll table the handbook?
So,
Do we need to move up the stuff for D?
I think we'll get to it pretty fast.
Okay.
So
Director
Go ahead.
Schoenberg,
I'd like to move that we table item 11 until the next meeting.
I'll second that.
okay, roll call directors. Director Garcia, absent. Director Nyman,
Yes.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Killing,
Aye.
Gibson, I, 4-0, absent.
I'm a yes.
Any other changes to this agenda? We're going to move forward then. Public comments. Items not listed on the agenda. Is there anybody from the public here who wishes to speak?
Yeah, this is Joan Kotnick. Would it be possible to get a copy of the minutes that get approved tonight from the last meeting?
The minutes get uploaded all the time to our website, so as soon as Tiffany's done with them, they'll be on the website.
Okey dokey, thank you.
Okay. Ad hoc committee reports. Project committee. It's you, Lisa.
No, so we attended the state update meeting. There'll be some minutes for that. And we had some notes that we added to the agenda. So Tiffany added those to tonight's agenda already. And so those are all individual items. So I think that was really the, each of those will come up in the actual item. So I think they're okay.
Okay. Accounts payable committee.
We met, we looked at the bills, and we'll do that in finance.
Very good. Book asset detail committee.
So you want to do this?
No.
Okay, so we met, we have another meeting scheduled on the books. We basically went over, so our first meeting, I think since the last time we met, we went over reclassifying, I think I reported on that, but reclassifying all of the different sites so that now there's, I guess, a well site, well site 6, et cetera, et cetera. And then this very last meeting, we reclassed some items that are under, basically they're heavy equipment, but the heavy equipment, we tried to put all in one place because it's kind of all over the place. And so now all those items will start to be, as we go through them all, will start to be all under plant equipment. And so plant equipment is now all of the like portable generator, heavy equipment, anything like the
Bucket loaders,
yeah, but also the
excavator.
trailer, the
The
trash pumps.
ATVs?
No, the ATVs are in the vehicle.
Okay.
So, but those are also like, a lot of stuff is not in the right place. So we did reclass some stuff. We found at least one item that wasn't on there at all, the trash pump. So we can talk about that in the financial. And so we looked that up. And so, yeah, we're just trying to slowly reclass things to the correct spots. And we reclassed some stuff in the corporate yard too. Like the storage container stuff.
Very good. Budget committee?
We met.
Yeah, we did, we met, we had
Yay.
an initial meeting, and it went well. We got almost all the way through receivables, right? And we plan to meet again. the first week in June. Hopefully, we'll be able to present it maybe by the end of June.
Hopefully, yeah, July.
Because we want to torture you guys with it. Okay, treasurer committee?
We didn't
That's pretty much done.
do anything else, right? Because
Yeah,
we
prior to that, we went over all the bond books and got what the interest was for paying the bonds.
Figuring out the formulas.
And
And we did talk to the bank, and did you check to see if they had made the couple of changes we asked them to make? Or was there any other weird stuff on the bank statements?
Well, we have to.
Well, we'll know, we'll
We'll
really
know
know
next
next
month.
month, so, yeah, so, and then I think we can dissolve that ad hoc.
Okay, very good. Discussion vote accounts payable and financial information. Hi, Deborah.
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. I've been on Zoom quite a bit today and I've been having trouble with my audio. Okay. So we cut 11 checks out of the revenue operating account for a total of $9,689.18. And there are two extraordinary payments. One is to BHK, the accountant, for this last audit was $3,000. And the second one is actually payment of two invoices to Ferguson. The total check was $3,260.39, and we were paying for, it's all abbreviated, so it doesn't mean much to me, but you might know better. COLL leak simp, crimp, clamp. I'm sorry. And propeller replacement parts.
We're looking at the check detail.
Down at Ferguson.
Well, it's
Ferguson.
clamps and
There you go.
meter propeller for well fixed. It's easier to read it when you look at it on the invoice than it is on the created
Well, yeah,
thing, but
so she was just trying to say what it was.
I need a stamp.
Any
I
questions?
got
So the meter, the fee for well 6, is that something we should reclass under well 6?
absolutely not. Meters go bad.
Shazam. Okay. Anybody have any other questions? Tina, motion to.
I will make a motion that we pay our bills.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Nyman,
I,
Director Schoenberg, Director Kelly.
Aye.
Gibson, aye. 4-0-1 absent. And so moving on to unfinished business, discussion vote update on Fraser Park Lake of the Woods consolidation planning project. Discussion vote on updating the project timeline.
We, Joan, for your request on this and for our not having it in front of us every time we bring it up, we asked that, and I think Lawrence brought that up in the state meeting also, to just keep updating the timeline as we go rather than, and then, submit to him, but if we need to do something official, we can, but just to keep an unofficial running track of everything. And so we have that, so you should have that in a packet, or that'll be, did they get that?
This is a screenshot our website.
Okay, so it's on our website. So, so that way we can start to make sure that these dates are correct. So I think we just need to, with D, just go over this quickly, and, you know, we can keep updating it, but just see where we're at on
I
it.
think we have, since he has to be off at 6:30, if you want to update on other things.
Well, I guess the next two things that are coming up are in July.
No, there's January 2022 that already happened, so I think we should just pick a different date for the sphere of influence, Dee, and we can skip the rest for now.
Just pick a date out of the air.
Dee?
Dee, are you still with
Dee.
us?
He's up there.
You're muted if you're, there we go.
There you are.
So
go.
you and Johnny and Jerry and I need to get together to do that, but when do you think we can have that? When can we start to, or get done with that? It already passed in January, so let's just pick a date for that.
The sphere of influence.
That's the map, just redoing the map, which we were
Map.
supposed to do a while ago.
Let me look here. Next week, pretty much any time during the day, on any of the days, I've got, of course, I've got night meetings that first week, but the day is fairly clear. So,
Jerry's not here, so I think we should just sort of pick a date when we think we might be able to be done with it as opposed to when we're meeting.
how about Wednesday?
No,
No,
like done with it, like July.
He's talking about, when do you think you can have the sphere of influence map done?
Oh, my gosh. All right. Yeah, we haven't worked on that at all. Probably the middle of June to maybe the third week in June.
So I would say July to be safe, because we're in June and have,
Sure.
like, so can we say July 2022?
Yeah, that's fine.
I think that's the only one we need to update immediately,
Okay.
and then we'll figure out the rest
See.
when you have more time.
Discussion vote on production of real property appraisals. Is that you, Dee?
It is, but I believe that we haven't moved forward on that because we were just waiting for the sale letter to be signed, but it's not signed. So I think we should go ahead and move on from that and just say they looked at everything, right, Dee? So it's really just, we just need to send those letters out once we hopefully get a signature from
What are we talking about? Are we talking
these are
about?
the planning project appraisals, not the well
Okay.
7 appraisal.
Right, both of those letters can go out. They're ready to go, so, I'll review them and make sure that they are saying what they need to say, but they have prepared a draft of those letters and they're just holding them, so I'll follow up with the appraiser.
We need to do a final approval of those before they go out, but we were waiting for the stuff on item, whatever it is. Item 7.
Okay, well, I will get those letters and then I'll send them over to the board, and then we can incorporate your comments and get them out.
And then C, I didn't table, but we actually need to table that one. We're not able to do that yet.
Is that a motion right now?
Yeah, I forgot. I moved the table C to the next meeting,
I second it.
Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia.
next planning meeting, sorry.
Absent, Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Gibson, aye, 4-0, 1 absent. Moving on.
Excuse me.
Discussion vote on
Oh.
district, yeah,
Goodbye, Deborah.
Aye.
Good night. Have a good evening.
Thank
too.
you.
discussion vote on district sphere of influence map for the annexation, we discussed it.
Yeah, we just
Right, but
covered that.
here's where I guess we could do a date if we want, but we don't have Jerry, so I think we have to do that, by text or email, the,
Okay,
Okay, E, discussion vote on project municipal service review. Quote, draft MSR, data collection, scope of work and library.
so I just wanted to make sure that this is on all of our, I mean, it was already on this agenda, but I also asked Tiffany to put it on the, or to just make sure it's on the state planning agendas also. I think actually Carlos was gonna do that. And we can't really move forward on that until we have the sphere of influence, but we need to just keep bringing it up, I think now, and not table it, just to make sure that we're moving forward on it.
Yeah, because according to the thing, it's supposed to be October 22.
Right.
There's an F, discussion vote on the letter addressing the early drilling of well 8.
So D, Lawrence, at the state update meeting, you weren't there, but Lawrence said that he doesn't remember getting that letter. I know that you were working on it, and I know I read a draft of it, and I thought I read the final thing that you sent, but I could be wrong. But didn't you send that, or do you need to send that to Lawrence?
I probably need to send it. If he's indicated that he hasn't received it, I probably am holding it. So let me check that out and see
Yeah.
what the status is.
Can you send that by Jerry, by the ad hoc once again? Because I think we were waiting for, you were going to try to determine costs a little, like that was, you wrote the letter, the initial letter, and then the last part of the letter, Lawrence had asked for a kind of a bit of a breakdown of the costs, and then I thought you sent that to him, but I guess not, so.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out, Lisa. I haven't
Okay.
been thinking about that.
I'm lost. Where were we at?
We're
G?
on G. I asked that we add G so that we could discuss a couple of things that John had brought up.
Okay. Discussion vote on Lake of the Woods project concerns.
So D, Joan, last couple of meetings, the state update and the previous meeting had brought up two big concerns. So the first concern was whether we knew where we thought we might make the connection to Lake of the Woods. Once you actually do the, not exact, but just kind of an idea of where that connection is going to occur so that they can move forward on their part of the project because they're working on all this pipeline. So I wanted to have you start thinking about that so that you can let Lake of the Woods, have a better idea of where that might be. I know that initially, when Johnny and I think it was Brahma and I had gone down to the office, it was quite a while ago already, years ago. But you had that map, that initial map, and you guys had done like a very, very preliminary design of what you thought we might need in the way of boosters and what you thought we might need in the way of, where we would have like a T coming off for the mobile home park and where we might have a connection to Lake of the Woods and all of that. So is that something that you know now, or is that something that you can kind of let them know at a subsequent meeting that comes up soon?
Sure.
Before we actually have the actual, PER or anything. And then the other big concern that I heard was whether you think that the tank replacement is going to be adequate, or whether you think that if we actually do consolidate, they may need an additional tank.
Oh,
Is that correct, John?
Joan? Are you muted, Joan?
Sorry, I was muted. Yes.
Okay. But you
Yeah,
were-
yes, what Lisa said, I need to know what the general concept plan is, because on the pipelines that we're going to be doing in the very near future, we can already incorporate the connection. And I need to know what the plan is for boosters and tanks, so that if we are going to, all of the improvements that we're making, we want to make sure that it's with the whole consolidation in mind, and that everything blends in together.
sounds good, Joan. I recall you had two tanks, one up on the north end of town, up really the what I'm just going from memory. You had two tanks, one on the south end that you had to either replace or move. And I don't remember how much storage there was. So if you could update me on that, that would be good. I'd like to know how much storage you have. At one time I knew, and I think if that hasn't changed, I can look at some of the old stuff that I did. For like
Okay. I'm assuming, I know Pam's on, so I don't know if she wants to chime in with that information right now, because she would know that right off the top of her head.
Yeah, so the south tank is 8,500 or 85,000. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, and so preliminarily with the 3.5 million that we're doing, we're gonna be replacing that line that goes across right by Cuddy Hall. And so talking with our engineers, we're thinking we're gonna do a T on one side of the road or the other, so that what Lauren's saying is that anything on our side to where you guys want to come together, our engineers will do. And then D, you'll do it for Fraser Park, from Fraser Park up to where it butts up to like the woods. And so we were thinking, since we're already replacing that line going under that road, we would do a T right there. So you can tap, just connect the pipe coming from Fraser Park right there. But we aren't sure exactly if you knew which side of the road you wanted it on. Or should we take the lead on what potholing we're seeing?
Yeah, we have, the decision there will be the result of some of the geotechnical work and the potholing that gets done to find out what utilities are in the area, Pam. So if you, I think, just to bring me up to speed, we do have that preliminary map, and I'm not quite, I don't think that we really thought a whole lot about where we were going to connect, because it was so preliminary. But if you have a preference and an area that, you're going to improve and put something in, can your engineer just sketch it and send it to me so we can take a look at it and decide whether or not that's adequate? Or if you have a couple of places and it's up to us, just let us know what those are. So I'd like to see it in writing. I'd like to see a sketch of it or something. I just don't remember that much about what we have up there in the way of piping.
Sure, the final designs are going to be, they're going to put in that T, because we just talked about that this week. And as soon as they're ready, I'll send them over and you can take a look at them before we go out to bid.
Yeah.
We just figured we're so close to going out to bid, if we're going to do that line, we might as well do it now. And then this, like we talked about, the south tank is.
So we need to be careful what side of the road.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what side of the road do you plan, because we don't know for sure, but we're thinking the only way we could run our line out there is on the south side of Fraser Mountain Park Road, unless something's changed, but we also have that high pressure gas line that's in there.
That's right.
On the right side of the road, there's just not access because of hillside, so if there was gonna be a T, I would imagine, after D looks at it, it'll need to be on the south side of Fraser Mountain Park
And
Road.
we're gonna have to do a T for the mobile home park.
Oh, yeah, that's easy.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing on the south side, because we had a leak right there and we're only noticing telephone lines underground there so far.
Yeah, so I think a lot of it's gonna depend on how many utilities are in the road right there, but.
And then, we'll have the phase 3, which is the 5 million. And eventually when we get to that part, because we weren't sure if you were going to be tying in right into our system right there, or eventually in the future, we might need to blend it, and just bypass our system, go straight to the blending station. And if that's the case, they're going to run it through their, your diagrams and whatnot for the third phase. And if it needs to be done, then we'll look at an additional tie-in further down to the blending station. Does that make sense? Because we don't know what the future holds. Right now, we're sustaining ourselves, blending what we have. But if in the future we need to tie in to you guys first through the blending station to lower the nitrates. So that'll be phase 3. So initially, this is what we're thinking.
Well, it makes
Right.
sense. Makes sense, Pam. I just need to kind of get back up to speed as to what's there and maybe get really more current on what you're planning on doing. And then, we can decide really what's best for both of us.
Right, we were just pressing for time right now because we're going out to bid for the 3.5. So we wanted to make sure if we were gonna put a T in, let's do it now. And that's why Joan's been, advocating for us. So thank you, Joan, for doing that. And thank you guys for, closeting us and getting through this, because we want to make sure we're all on the same page going forward.
Sounds good, Pam. As soon as you get that stuff to me, I'll take a look at it.
Hey.
And then Dee, you've also got some preliminary idea plan that you did a while back. So you can send that to us.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, guys.
Okay, discussion vote on compatible SCADA systems with the Lake of the Woods. Dee or Johnny?
Well, Dee's not working on that. Like last we heard was that Ness was getting them the quote, so that's the last I heard of it.
Did Ness get to you?
Yeah, we got it this week. I have the quotes and they'll be talking about it at our board meeting. Thank you, guys.
Of course.
Thank you, Pam.
Okay, 7, discussion vote update on FPPUD meter replacement project and emergency.
We're gonna claim
discussion.
it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, sorry.
And-
Hi, yeah.
Go ahead.
Discussion vote on claim 18, other claims and payouts and state form 260 and 261.
Can I
Yeah,
ask
before
something?
we go to claim 18, the reason I put 260 and 261 is that we discussed that in the state update meeting, and those are going to you right now, Becky, but to no one else. And we haven't seen them ever. So I think if you can forward them when you get them, you probably haven't even seen them, they might go in your spam or. But what happens is every time we get a claim approved by the state then sends you the final approval. And so that, like on our claims, how there's like a zero balance, every time we have a claim, instead of these claims being filled out, they always say 0 on them. And I was questioning that because we can never like follow along and know what's paid and what's not paid. So what they do is they send you a copy of this, and it's those 2 claim forms, which they sent to Pam on Lake of the Woods end for their stuff. And it's forms 260 and 261, and they show what was previously paid, what's approved, so I don't know if we can get those from you, or we can request that the state send those to. You said you weren't getting them, right, Carlos? Or Oscar for either claim, right? Or you are?
Yeah, I'm getting them, but so basically they get sent to anybody that is attached to that email, and for that email it's only Rebecca that's on there, myself, Lawrence, and Eric Manzano.
So is that, Becky probably hasn't even gotten those, because they're probably like, who knows? So is that something that I think we had talked a little bit about maybe you forwarding them to us each time so that we can see them at the board meeting?
Yeah, I can forward them to you and Jerry.
And I'll
Or
check
to
my email.
Tiffany?
Oh, I can forward them to Tiffany.
I mean, you can forward them to us as well, but that way we have them for the state update meetings, but Tiffany can get them printed out for the board.
Okay, so you want me to forward them to all 3 of you guys?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, I'll go back through my emails and I'll forward them to you.
Can I interject
Yeah,
something?
Johnny.
Dee's got to get out of here in a couple minutes, so if there's something, I have an update on the meter project, I have an update on the temporary easement. So if you guys want to look over anything else that's necessary for Dee, maybe we could handle that so he could leave and then we can start back over.
The only thing I'd ask is did you sign the contract deed for the technical assistance on the pipeline?
Yeah, that's critical.
Carlos and I have been going back and forth, but
I-
once Gail got sick and then I got sick, this is my first day in the office since last Wednesday, so I have it right here and I plan to sign it tonight and I'll get it in the mail tomorrow.
Perfect, yeah, because Carla, Self-Help assured us that you'll get paid for those claims that are TA. money and it's not going to be, they're gonna pay them and then they'll get reimbursement from the state. So I think, you had a concern about getting paid and so they're gonna do that.
Really, it was, yeah, it was more, maybe a little bit more detail than that, and it was getting paid as soon as possible, because we have to pay, we're gonna have people, subcontractors, working for us, and they've got really a major part of that project. So I know we can't front the money, and so we need to have them, get paid for that work, as soon as possible, within
They
that.
assured us that they have a week turnaround time, so I just want to make sure that that contract gets signed so we can move forward.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll continue with this claim. Everything else?
No, then
Well-
we also need to know about the easement. So we're jumping all over the place and I didn't move that we talk about that. So it's on here somewhere. That was 8A. And then we also need to jump forward
To
to
nine.
9, 9, but we also need to jump forward to the easement and know what we're gonna do on that. That we passed that up. That was on item 7. Item 7B.
Yeah, we really need to make a decision on that. As Johnny's probably told you, we have not received a signed easement document from Nathan. So I talked to Alan Dowd today, and Alan's happy to talk with maybe the board tomorrow if you'd like. But basically, he said, send an email and tell Nathan that we're going to go ahead and perfect our easement by eminent domain. Give him a chance to, just warn him up ahead before we end up in court that that's the direction that we're going, and then just keep going on it, start moving ahead with the eminent domain.
Are we going to say that if we have to go to court that we're not going to pay the $1,000, that will be 190?
That's something for Alan. His recommendation was that we don't have to tell him anything other than what we've already told him. And, we just send a letter that says we haven't received the signed document, therefore we're proceeding with eminent domain. And
Alan has voiced the opinion we should only give like a day or two after we send the email. So I would recommend that we have Alan, you guys direct Alan to do it. He could send the email to me and then I could forward the email. Well, you guys can see it, and then forward the email to Nathan after Alan writes it, because he's the one that knows what has to be in it and what doesn't have to be.
I'm just saying that ad hoc.
um,
I'm pointing to Jerry, but he's not.
Oh, yeah, nobody was there. So.
there.
Okay,
So can we just make a decision on that right now? So
Yeah, that's-
like 2 days? I mean, I would agree with that. So that we allow, that we give just a vote of conscience or whatever, that I don't know if we have to have a motion for that, but that we tell our attorney to go ahead to send another letter to copy the project ad hoc on that. And if we don't get a response in 2 days, that we move forward with the court.
With the eminent domain.
Yeah.
so
okay.
does Dee do that or Johnny?
I'm gonna email Alan right now, include everybody that matters in it so that he could draft the letter and send it back.
Okay, that's great, Johnny. Yeah, or you could do it, or I could do it. It's just a simple letter that says we didn't receive it. We're going to pursue eminent domain.
I'm good with the attorney wording it to make sure we word it up to what needs to be. With the best wording, I guess, even though it costs us more money.
I'm in agreement. Are you in agreement?
I'm in agreement, yes. Oh,
You too, Becky?
that was the whole thing. We all knew we were gonna go this way.
Okay, is there anything else in number 7 that Dee needs to be there?
I can give you a quick update on the meter replacement project. I did prepare an updated estimate before Gail had to go to the hospital. And so I do have that, and it's here on my desk. It's about $3.1 million, and we originally had about 2.8 million. But we took away from that 2.8, I think around 200,000. So it's really what's left in that account, I think is, or on that budget is about 2.6.
2.4.
2.4. So we're about 600,000 short.
Right, so, and then Lawrence was also saying he did not receive anything from you in regards to that, so that's another letter that we just need to send out, kind of giving him an idea, because that's the only way we're gonna be able to move forward on potentially getting a bridge loan from, we talked about that at the state update meeting, that we could get a bridge loan from self-help, which is different than a bridge loan from a bank. It doesn't have interest, it's simpler to get, it can be folded into the project, so we need more details on that, but I think we needed to get a good cost estimate, and then we can move forward with a bridge loan.
Yeah, well, I do have that cost estimate, and I will put a memorandum with it and send it to Lawrence and then CC the board.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
So then can we do discussion vote on bridge loan for meter replacement?
Well, I think right now, so that D can leave, we just need to go to 9. I'm
Okay,
sorry, Tiffany, we're all over the place, but
This is gonna be fun.
yeah.
9A.
just point me in the right direction. Okay,
Was
that's
9A.
9A.
Was that
Discussion vote update on Cal OES community power resiliency allocations for special districts grant. A discussion vote update on purchasing the generators. Sorry, it's been on for so long.
In accordance with the, I think at the last board meeting that we had, we were in agreement to eliminate 1 or 2 of the generators that are on the smaller plants, and Johnny would pick which one of those they were. I got busy, as you guys know, for the last, I haven't been in the office since Tuesday really, or Wednesday. So I didn't pass that along to Curtis till today. Curtis is on it now, and he's going to talk to PTS. And, we're thinking that I think it's the Harrison tank.
Harrison and Pine One.
Yeah, and Curtis thinks Harrison is probably going to be all we'll need to reduce the project, and that should balance everything out with the load cells that we got to get. So he's going to approach them tomorrow.
Director Jones?
So.
Just quick question. So is Harrison better than Pine One because we're gonna have something at Pine Two, or no?
No, Pine Two is
It's
just, it's
the
just a
one
tank.
that's not anything.
It's
yeah.
just a tank, and it only feeds a small area, and it takes a long time for that tank to go dry on this.
Okay.
And same thing with Harrison, it pumps to Sam Young, but Sam Young only feeds 4 trails, so it's a sizable tank, and it takes a lot longer. So if we were out of power for 2 or 3 days, you're still gonna have water.
But Pine One's, that's not the case.
No, I said, that's why I said we could get rid of Harrison and Pine
Oh,
One if we
Pine
need
One.
to. For those reasons, they have bigger tanks where they pump to. But if
Okay.
we only have to get rid of one, that's great.
And we're going to approach, well,
Oh, Director Nyman?
we're going to approach PTS about paying for those load banks or somehow supplementing it. B,
No, what, as I understood what the board agreed to was we would reduce the scope of the project by eliminating the generator for one of the smaller stations, and that would be Harrison. And with that elimination, that frees up that much money, and that much money would then go to the load cells.
To put the load banks on.
So we would be even.
I thought we were going to ask PTS
to do something
to do
since they're,
something since.
Yeah, to help
But,
out.
well, we are, we just haven't entered the negotiations yet. We haven't entered none of that yet. With them, because we didn't have this information till now, so.
Right, but I
Curtis-
just don't want us to assume that we're gonna pay for all of that just because we have the money. I think PTS should give some sort of discount, or they should help pay for part of that, because, you know, it's part of their problem as to why this happened. And I just don't think it's right for us to just say, okay, we're reducing it so we have the money, we're not gonna approach them about it.
Curtis agrees. Curtis doesn't like it either, but we've also found out extenuating circumstances from Quinn about how it's so hard to spec out the tier 4 generators. So Curtis is gonna see what we can do to make them do it, but if we get into a legal contest because they say, look, I've already lost money, because they're already saying that they're losing money because the quotes that they're locked into have already passed that point. So if we get
That's
into.
not our fault.
That's neither here nor there. What I'm saying is, the legal battle, the money that we would be trying to save by making them throw in, if they fight us back, we're gonna spend on legal fees. So we're gonna try to work out the very best deal that we can, but Curtis is not happy with the way this has gone. Curtis has been adamant the whole time. He's kind of the one that's come up, him and Andy, but Curtis has been, you know, trying to figure out the best way to get the most bang for our buck out of PTS rentals without having to go to court. So that's why we got to enter into the discussions with PTS. Am I correct, Dee?
Yeah, and then additionally, we had thrown in another condition that they would replace any of the generators that wet stacked. They would bring a replacement generator for us while those generators were getting repaired.
That was for a time frame of up to like 2 years or whatever the warranty period is, right?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah, so that was one concession that they already made. If something happens, they'll just run one up free of charge to set the generator up to keep us in power if it's wet stack.
That's right.
So
so I think, that's probably, unless you can think of anything else, Dee, just so you can go and we'll go back to the other discussions where we don't necessarily need you here.
Where are we?
Okay. Yes, I think that's it. And I've got a couple of more notes.
we've covered B on number 9, discussion vote on
No,
engineering.
we're going back to the claim.
No,
I know, but we didn't just
No,
cover
we
that when we
don't,
were
no.
talking.
no,
We're not
well,
gonna-
we don't need to cover that. in great detail.
Okay, so tell me now, where are we?
Okay,
So,
good night.
Claims?
Good night, Dee.
All right.
do you
Thank
feel
you.
better?
Feel
Thank you
better.
for,
Give
cutting
Gail
in.
my best, okay? Is she doing better now?
She's doing better. The antibiotics are working and she's getting her strength back. She was in the office today for a couple hours, so she's healing up.
Good.
That was,
Both of you take care.
okay, thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Good night. So I think we're back on I of 6.
Six I. Yeah.
It's claim
Yeah.
18.
Sorry, Tiffany.
Thanks you,
Sorry.
Carlos.
Oh,
We're playing hopscotch tonight, Carlos and Oscar.
claim 18.
Okay, I'm off mute now. I was trying to get off mute and it wouldn't let me. For director's detail report or charges, you have $583.32. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And then for staff costs, you have $64.50. And then we had one invoice from D. Jasper and Associates, invoice number 22-04013, total of $408. And the total claim was $1,055.82.
And the ad hoc looked these over at the state update meeting and we didn't see any issues.
Okay, so
I'll make a motion that we accept and submit claim 18 to the state.
And do we want to put the invoices on those into the record?
Just did. Carlos did.
Carlos didn't say the invoice, said the invoice number?
Yes, for D.
I'm asleep at the wheel. Okay, never mind.
Okay, so there's a motion on the floor?
Yep.
And get a second?
I'll second that.
Thank you. Roll call directors, Director Garcia is absent, Director Nyman.
Aye.
I'm waiting for an answer. Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I, 4-0, 1 absent.
In
Moving
claim,
on.
Becky, in claim, that claim, if you go, oh, this is the first page. The second page is the ones that they're talking about you're getting.
Talking about what?
Those are the pages that they're talking about that you get in your email.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, I will look in my email tonight, and if I got anything in there, I'm gonna send it to you, okay, Tiffany?
I think Carlos and Oscar are both gonna do that as well on the other claims, just so
Okay,
that way we can follow along and know if the state hasn't paid something or, you know.
yeah, I totally get the reasoning, I just.
now 7.
Okay. So,
7A,
other claims and payouts, is there any?
That's done.
And we already discussed Form 260, 261?
yeah,
Okay, discussion vote update on FPPUD meter replacement project, we did. Right?
no, we haven't done all that. We've just done
A.
bits and
We just
pieces
did-
of it.
Yeah,
I have an
A?
update on.
We did A, right?
No,
not yet.
Okay, discussion vote update on drilling well 7.
Apparently Bakersfield Well and Pump is eager to get started.
Oh,
great.
They've, I just seen an email between them and D where they're trying to get the permit from the state. So Jesse Dollywall is gonna have to approve the permit for it. So I know that they're actively working on it. So really, that's why we're trying to rush through with the temporary easement.
Yeah,
So they can start working on it. Now, I wanted to point out another thing that you guys are gonna hear about soon. Because of well 7, gonna be drilling it, and the fact that well 6 is already running 24 hours a day because the heat, where I'm trying to get Curtis next week, I'm gonna give with Curtis. He's trying to figure out if we could add one bowl to well 6 and a higher horsepower motor. So we could get another 30 gallons per minute out of well 6 to make sure that we're fine throughout the summertime and throughout the drilling process of well 7. We need to add a capacity anyway. So right now would be a good time. So I told Dee that I'll give Curtis, we can figure out a cost and availability, if there's any availability. If they say it's 6 months out or 5 months out, it's gonna not matter anyway. But if it does matter, then I'll submit the quote to you guys to see about doing an upgrade on 6 to help us out.
And then will that motor be able, we'll be able to keep that, and use it somewhere else
No, it'll stay on the well.
after
No,
we,
but you're-
after
are you
we
gonna-
take.
6, he's talking about 6.
I'm talking about well 6, well 6 down here in the yard.
Oh,
The one
okay.
that feeds 2/3 of the town.
Right.
Yeah.
It's barely feeding the 2/3 of the town. In the
Right.
summer times it's strained. So if we could add 30 gallons per minute roughly to that, that's gonna help us a lot. So that will just improve well 6. So it's tied into well 7 simply because if well 7 goes down or well 5 goes down while we're drilling 7, 6 has got to cover the whole load.
Right, but you're putting a stronger motor on there.
And another pole.
Now, if you put the stronger, are you taking the other motor off?
Yeah, you have to, yeah.
So then what will we do with that motor?
Have it rewound and possibly use it somewhere else. But if you're interested, we got about 15 more laying on the ground out there that could be rewound, because usually that's not a huge factor in reusing them unless they're really good. This motor that I would be replacing was the existing motor for well 3
Yeah,
Right.
we
There was
borrowed
nev-
it
there
because
was
we didn't
never
have enough
rehab.
funds.
So that thing is so old,
I remember.
it's not really gonna matter what we do with it.
Okay.
Which is why we need. to
All right, I just
Oh,
asked.
okay, I didn't know
Yeah, no, I
that.
get it. That's a good question. That's a good
No,
question.
Just asking the question.
You're thinking in terms of assets, right?
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, or can we use it somewhere else?
Yeah.
But then I forgot that.
It's
we
already old.
It's already old. 'cause
Yeah, it was old when we
Because that's
put it
how
in.
we saved the money to.
Yeah, in 2012, so.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was-
exactly.
I need to take Terry around, and show you the different wells and stuff. You've seen it, but now since we have more projects going on where they're all tied in, I could give you a better understanding of how it all ties together. So we should do that when we have some time.
You picked the day,
Perfect.
I'm a bit,
Perfect.
unless I'm walking.
Okay, we kind of touched on this, right? Discussion vote on access
Yeah,
easement
we
through
did
Zaya.
that.
We did that.
Just so you know, as we were sitting here, I typed the email, I included the ad hoc and Dee, Tiffany, and Alan asking them to write the letter.
And then we also talked to Dee about the meter budget and
Okay. And the bridge loan, do we need to discuss that further?
we do, I just wanted, so on the bridge loan, Carlos and Oscar, can you just speak to that? Because you spoke to the state update meeting, but I just want the rest of the board to understand how that might work and, you know, that there's advantages to, because we've been really leery about any kind
So
of bridge loan.
for the bridge loan, as far as I know, and Carlos can correct me if I'm wrong, there's no interest and there's no fees associated with that you would pay if you would go with the bank. And I believe it caps out at 500,000 and it needs to be paid within a year.
Now that,
But that would allow us to start moving forward on, you know, bidding the meters, because if we're only short, so right now we're short about 600,000 or so, according to what he said. It may be a little more, a little less, but the issue is it's more than the bridge loan, but we might have enough money to cover that out of our own accounts if we had to. And right now, we're holding off on sending the meters out to bid. I mean, we're almost there with the specs and everything where we could bid them. And if we keep putting that off, then that's potentially a problem too. So the other thing that Lawrence was explaining on the state update meeting is that if you're able to do a bridge loan with self-help, because they're already part of, you know, this whole process with the state and everything, it makes the funding that much faster and easier to, in other words, if we were to just go for straight funding, it can take at least 6 months or not more. But if we're able to do the bridge loan, there's some weird way of folding that in where they can speed up the funding.
That's what I was gonna ask you. So if we took the bridge loan, it had to be paid back within a year. Lawrence is fairly certain that they will up the money that we need. to pay.
Yeah,
That's great.
That's
great.
what I understood. Now,
That's
whether
great.
that all works out, I'm not positive, but it seemed like a good alternative and just, you know, we had never even heard that you could get a bridge loan through self-help, so that was a really new concept. And it was enough money that if it's like 600 to 800,000 difference, that we might be able to make up the 200 or 300,000 from our capital improvement and still have some money if another emergency happens. But I don't think we can come up with 800,000, so that's why we thought that might be a really good alternative.
At the very least, it would prevent you guys from using all the money up from your capital improvement
Yeah,
fund.
and we don't even have that much in there to use like that because it would leave us with nothing. And then we'd be in trouble if something else happened. So,
Okay. Discussion vote on the plans and specifications for the meter replacement.
so I think he's pretty close on that. He sent out some stuff I was reading, but it was,
He sent it and then
hard to
and then I
follow.
sent back a couple of my comments. I don't remember seeing that ad hoc sending any comments, but I sent my comments that I was concerned about. And I haven't seen that turn back around again.
I saw your comments, but I didn't really, and they were good comments, so I was happy with that. I didn't really, have my own comments on it yet, but it was kind of like dense, also what I was seeing, so I just
Yeah, the good thing about meter replacement is it's pretty, pretty straightforward.
It's,
With the engineering and what has to be done. It didn't take an engineer for me to produce the plans, because I do meters all the time, so I'm definitely pretty confident.
right, I don't, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, I've done it for a long time now.
Yeah.
and That part's pretty easy, so.
but your comments made a lot of sense, so.
Okay, do we need to do anything with that?
I don't think so.
Not yet.
I mean, I think they're real close and basically we need to move forward on some of this other stuff and then we may be able to actually approve going out to bid.
So F, it didn't matter right now either, right?
Okay.
Yeah, so if we can't go out to bid yet until we figure out this other stuff.
So is that F that you're doing right now?
Yeah,
Lisa?
so we're
Okay.
on G, we can do the
G,
claim.
discussion vote on claim 3.
That's Oscar.
Hey, Oscar.
Okay, so I just wanted to go over Forms 260 and 261, kind of what we talked about for the previous item. And I don't get copies of when the claim is approved. So do you guys want me to request them with Eric and Lawrence, or are you going to have Becky forward them to you guys?
I think you should request them as well, because in case they're going to some, who knows, like, I don't know if they went in her spam and some of them are gone already, so I think we should probably get that for the previous claims that we've already done, and then get them going forward, and then you could do the same thing that Carlos is doing and send those to Tiffany and to the ad hoc.
Okay.
Lawrence was fine with it. I mean, they were fine with us doing that. They just, that was my understanding on the state update.
Okay, that's fine. I can do that. Okay, so on the claim, there's quite a few voices, a majority of them from D. So I'm going to go over them. First one is invoice number 21-X1253, and that's in the amount of $364.50, and that's from D. The next one is 21-X1218, and that is for $457. That's also from D. The ones I'm going to be reading right now are all from D. Next invoice is 22-01016, and that is in the amount of $1,250. The next invoice is 22-02018, and that's in the amount of $2,490.90. Next invoice is 22-02019, and that's in the amount of $5,431.50. Next invoice is 22-01015, and that's in the amount of $8,655.47. Next invoice 22-04016, and that's in the amount of $5,321.25. The next invoice in the amount of sorry, let me start over on that. Next invoice 22-03018, and that's in the amount of $4,625. Next invoice 22-03017, and that's in the amount of $4,063.28. The next invoice 22-04017, that's in the amount of $5,078.50, and all of those invoices are from D. Jasper. And then we have one
Quick
invoice
question
from.
before you go on. So I had asked
That-
them state update meeting about invoice 22-02018 that was just missing the postage or the copy printing for the black and white, or actually they were in-house
Take a
color
look, that's fine.
copies. were you able to find that?
You know what? It didn't have it, and I mean, I know Dee was going through some stuff, so I did leave him some messages, and I meant to talk to him about this on the claim when before him leaving. I wasn't aware he was leaving, so I'll get back to him to see if he can provide that copy for those in-house copies that you were talking about.
Right, because I just think otherwise they're gonna kick it back to us and ask us for it.
Yeah, I have it here. I was gonna talk to him when I went over the claim right now, because like I said, I know he was dealing with personal matters. So I'll send him a quick email just to so that maybe he can provide that copy before I send it out next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. So,
And then, yeah, so now we're on legal.
Yeah, so now we have one invoice from Young and Woolridge, and then that invoice number is 88407, and that's in the amount of $1,551.50. Then we have FPPUD special meeting fees, and that's attached. It's basically for the directors and the admin, and that was in the amount of $537.63, which brings the whole claim total to $39,826.53.
And then Tiffany already knows this, but just for the record, and I talked about this at some point, but on the state update, that we just need to pay ourselves back once the money comes in, because the Bakersfield, Californian, we prepaid that amount to D.
okay. So,
I'm just putting it in the record.
Right, okay. I make a motion that we approve and submit claim 3 in the amount of $39,826.53 with the invoice that has been declared in the record while Oscar was talking.
I'll second that.
okay, we'll call directors. Director Garcia is absent. Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, aye, 4-0, absent. Discussion vote on pipeline replacement project. We did A already, right?
Yeah.
B, discussion vote on project budget.
So we don't have a budget yet. I mean, this, I guess we should have, well, we can't table all of it, but we had talked on on A about signing that contract, so that's moving forward. B, we don't have a project budget yet because we have to do the potholing and mapping in order to get a project budget. So C, we don't have draft project plans or specifications yet because we have to do potholing and mapping to get any of that stuff. They had approved the engineering stuff before the potholing and mapping, but we had talked about that with Oscar, and that's now switched around. So, I mean, they were okay with us switching the order of things, so we should be able, as soon as we have a contract, then we should be able to start moving forward on potholing and mapping.
He was saying they named several people that go out to bid to that are trusted for that sort of thing, and I'm sure they advertise for going out to bid for the potholing.
And then E, we have to do before, so we do need to do that for sure.
Okay, discussion vote on resolution FP 2022-0526-01 for the project application.
And I did send this to Carlos to peruse and make sure that it was what he needed for his purposes, and he just gave me one quick change, which has already been made, so he's good with it for his purposes.
Okay. Do we need to approve it?
Do we want to read that out loud? I can read it if you want.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Okay, before the Board of Directors, Fraser Park Public Utility District, the resolution number of the matter of resolution by the governing body of Fraser Park Public Utility District to apply for and enter into an agreement with the state of California and designating a representative to sign the agreement and any amendments thereto for Fraser Park Public Utility District pipeline replacement under Drinking Water State Revolving Fund DWSRF construction. Whereas the board authorizes Fraser Park Public Utility District to apply for and enter into an agreement with the state of California. And whereas Fraser Park Public Utility District is needing to replace aging and leaking pipeline to promote water conservation. Resolved by the Board of Directors of the Fraser Park Public Utility District, the entity as follows. The president of the Board of Directors, the authorized representative or designee is hereby authorized and directed to sign and file for and on behalf of the entity, a financial assistance application for a financing agreement from the State Water Resources Control Board for the construction of the pipeline replacement project, the project. This authorized representative or his/her designee is designated to provide the assurances, certifications, and commitments required for the financial assistance application, including executing a financial assistance agreement for the State Water Resources Control Board and any amendments or changes thereto. The authorized representative or his/her designee is designated to represent the entity in carrying out the entity's responsibilities under the financing agreement, including certifying disbursement requests on behalf of the entity in compliance with applicable state and federal laws. And then it just says our, passed and adopted at what meeting. And so this just has to go forward in order, even though we're not there yet, because we have to have the potholing and mapping done first, but we have to have this as well in order to do the application.
Right, I have no problem with this, but I do have one question.
Okay, Director.
It says the president of the board of directors, the authorized representative, which is fine, or designee is hereby. Who's or the designee? What does that mean? Does that mean
So that's,
we can designate somebody besides Becky?
yeah, I think you have to. So if something happened to Becky, there's a secondary, it's usually the like general manager, right?
Usually Johnny to sign
Yeah.
off, because if there's any like small little things that need to be signed that come by, yeah,
Right.
usually Johnny signs them.
But we don't have him, we don't have any of their names on
You
here.
don't have to name them, you just say that
This is just saying we're going to name them.
Oh, okay.
it's just whoever the board designates, but you don't have to.
But we
It's
don't
just
have to
saying
do
we're
that
gonna
this
move,
time.
yeah,
Okay.
it's just the very first thing you have to do in order to move forward.
All right,
Good question. Okay, do we need to
Yes,
vote on this?
yes.
And the only question I had was the second paragraph where it says needing to replace aging and leaking pipeline. It wasn't red, but to promote water conservation, does that sound about right? Was that the purpose? I pulled it out of another resolution.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, that sums it up, really.
Although if we wanted to, we could say to promote water conservation. I mean, I don't know if we want to even put it ready as to for possible consolidation.
No, I don't. All right.
We have
Let's
to keep
don't
our own
muddy it.
system running
Let's just-
regardless, so.
Okay.
Keep it straightforward.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, so
I make a motion that we approve resolution number FP 2022-0526-01 in the matter of resolution by the governing body of Fraser Park Public Utility District to apply for and enter into an agreement with the state of California and designating a representative to sign the agreement and any amendments thereto for Fraser Park Public Utility District pipeline replacement under Drinking Water State Revolving Fund WSRF construction.
that's a mouthful. Can I get
I'll
a second?
second that.
Okay, roll call. Director Garcia is absent. Director Nyman?
Aye.
Director Schoenberg? Director Kelly?
Aye.
Gibson, aye, 4-0, 1 absent. Discussion vote update on Carlos, we did that.
No, we need to do B, but B is not a big deal.
Okay, B, discussion vote on engineering and design.
So again, we can't really do any of that until we have the actual generators, but so we're not gonna actually do a vote on it. But our understanding right now, which is still our understanding as far as I know, is that once we get these generators, they're gonna go into the yard at first, and then we're gonna talk about pouring pads for those, and then Dee is gonna help us with any design issues with the pad and plugging. They're gonna be a
Yeah, you won't even have-
plug-in.
Yeah, so it'll just simply say the slab needs to be this big and this thick. That's gonna be pretty much the extent of the engineering, because we want to save money on hard wiring and everything. Plus, we spent a lot of money putting the dead vents with the switches in the cabinets already, so we might as well utilize them.
Are you guys done with Oscar and myself?
We are. I
Yes,
believe.
we are. Why, you have a good night.
All right, same
Hi,
here.
Jeremy.
You guys have a good night as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good
Bye.
night.
Good night.
Discussion vote on installing the nitrate analyzer.
Okay, it's been installed already. There's an appointment with Hawk, the manufacturer, and P&J Electric, and myself on June 8th to get it up and running. They have to be here to calibrate it, make sure it's working, and then at that point, then I'll notify the state, Jesse Wall, and we'll start operating.
And then they'll do the training at that time too.
And at the same time, when it gets up and running and it's working, I'm gonna reach out to the Channel 23 news reporter that interviewed me before and was fair. And I already spoke to her about when the nitrate analyzer is installed, she'll come out and do another follow-up story showing that we're monitoring it, keeping tabs on the nitrate levels, so.
It'd be nice if it doesn't show up on Friday, right?
Well, that was a different report.
Yeah.
Ah,
KBAK is the one that reported a bunch of non-facts.
Erroneous.
yeah.
They- So that's why I'm choosing to go with the reporter from Channel 23. So,
Okay, that's good. Discussion, review, vote on the employee handbook.
I just have one question before we move on to that.
Yeah, Director Schoenberg.
So once
Did
that's,
we table it?
yeah, we tabled it. Once that's installed, what's the turnaround time to get like a first, we get it almost immediately start sending a report to Jesse Dollywall, right?
I don't even know that's going to be set up like that. I think you don't necessarily send the reports. I'm gonna obviously talk to them. They'll come out here and they'll look at it. But
Okay,
it's,
because you want.
but their
numbers.
reports are gonna be when we exceed whatever they determine it has to be set at. Then I'll have to call them before I can turn the well back on if we've exceeded that limit. So they will have certain rules that they're gonna dictate, and then we'll have to follow them. So we won't know exactly what those are until after we get it going.
All right, thank you.
And we tabled 11 already.
Yes.
Okay, discussion vote on the grand jury report and the district.
Okay, I still have to work on that, but what I did in the meantime, because I have till July 7th, but what I did in the meantime is I sent Cal Rural Water a request. They've been advertising free leak detection, so I sent out the request. So then when I answer the report, I can, for the part where they're talking about leak detection, I'm gonna explain that it's not feasible financially for a company of this size, but I've applied for free leak detection from Cal Rural Water to show that we're proactively doing so.
That's good.
It's not due until July.
July 7th, yeah.
Oh,
90 days from when it came out. I just read it again today to make sure.
Maybe I was 60.
That's,
It says 90 right
that's where I'm really confused on, because
I
there's
just checked today.
two different. Two different. Things, and so I'm really confused, because up here it says 90, but
It
then
says right
down
here
here
on
it says
the,
60.
on the second to last page, it says responses are required pursuant to California Penal Code, blah, 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 within 90 days to the presiding judge and the foreperson. The other time that they're spelling out is where they give 180 days to figure out a better place to have meetings and stuff like that. So if you look on this page right here, it's 90 days.
But then under section 914.1, it says shall comment within 60 days. So wait, no later than 90 days after the grand jury submits a final report on the operation of any public agency subject to its reviewing authority, the governing body of the public agency shall comment to the presiding judge of the Superior Court on the findings and recommendations. Okay, but that says. Every election county, unfortunately, grant rate is 100%. Okay, so that's if it's an election county, I see, so. Recommendations pertain to matters under the control of the governing body. And if you're an election county officer or agency head for which the grand jury has responsibility, they shall comment within 60 days to the presiding judge of the Superior Court. So it looks like it's talking about two different.
Because that's where I was getting confused.
But, well, we're still the agency head, so I'm a little confused too.
No, I just know they didn't.
Can we call them and make absolutely sure that we're not?
I guess, I mean, I'm reading, you can't make it any more bold cut letters.
Is he talking about in the,
Yeah, but you do that to John.
yeah, because this is. That was also the whole packet thing, and so that's what I was confused.
A little confusing. It sounds like they're saying it twice because we're still an agency head.
I still think it says 90 days, but what's the date on Tuesday?
Well, because
31st.
the 31st, yeah.
I'll just send out the response on Tuesday without forwarding it to the board first.
I don't think that's.
Well, I mean, you already know what I'm gonna say. I mean, I'm gonna.
I don't know what you're gonna say about the addressing the, room, you know.
We already discussed it because we're buying all this hybrid material equipment for meetings here. And you can't move that stuff. You can't move it twice a month for meetings. So it's just not practical. There's boards all over the country that don't have a giant board meeting. And you can see, we had several people promise to be here today. And that's what I'm gonna point out to them that although we have ample space for 20 people, we never even get 2 people. So
I would still, since the grand jury also involves the board, I just like to see it. I'll read it right away if you tell me you sent it to us. I personally would like to just.
yeah, that's fine. I just know we have 90 days, but I'll try to call them and confirm
But
that.
60, the 31st would be 60 days?
No,
It won't
June
even be
7th.
60.
June 7th.
I'm gonna
would
do
be
it before the
60.
7th.
Yeah, you want it before the 7th,
So
but that's what I'm saying.
yeah, that's why Tuesday is 31st.
Yeah.
So that's plenty of time to find out if we have another month or if we have 7 days. Get
Right,
it in there. If I have 7 days, then we'll knock it out quicker. If I have a month, then we'll knock it out and I'll submit it at the board meeting.
You know, we could also tell them that the library is not available.
At
Indeed.
night.
It's not
Well-
available to us because the Southwest Healthcare District meets there.
But they don't meet there in the evening after 7, do they? Because
So on the
they
seventh,
have
but
to re-hire.
we couldn't have our meetings at the library because there's already a committee having a meeting there every
Well-
Thursday that we meet.
Well, besides,
Thursday night?
they can't make us give up our ability to have hybrid meetings. Well, I don't think they're gonna want to push that. For
Right,
us to move into a room that's not very much bigger than this room. What I'm saying is, that if I take a picture of what their meeting room looks like, they're gonna see it's not much bigger than this. They've drove by this $10 million library and thought there's some massive area. But
exactly.
we would have to have access to the internet. We would have to move all our cameras. So by trying to include people that never come, they want us to exclude the people that do show up on the Zoom meeting. And that's what I'm gonna point out to them. We reach far more people through Zoom than we do with people walking in the door.
That makes sense.
And historically, that's the way it's always been.
And I think we can also mention that we are going to, like, we need to repark it and stuff like that, so we are in the process of making improvements here. So that it is a friendlier, board, a friendlier meeting space.
Well, they were just talking
Part of
about,
which are the hybrid, or all the camera equipment and all that stuff.
Plus, the point, I don't even know what they're,
Right,
they came for the investigation of the nitrates.
but
They
you
came
still
up
have
with,
to answer
they came
each
up with, I
one.
know, but what all I'm saying is, these are suggestions that they made in the course of doing their big investigation. So I'm a firm believer in that when we explain this, the simplicity of why that doesn't work and why the leak detection doesn't work, that's gonna resolve our issue. If they disagree, then the judge can dictate that, but if they make us move into a bigger place, they're gonna have to make Lake of the Woods move to a bigger place. They're gonna have to make Quebec move into a bigger place. And every board across this country that's got a small little meeting room like this.
Lake of the Woods isn't governed by them, they're,
Okay,
private.
Quebec is, Gorman is, all I'm saying is, just because they got the impression people wanna come, we know that nobody does. If people come, we have sign-in sheets. Nobody's
Yeah,
here.
the
So
only reason I
anyway.
want to look at it as well as I want to make sure that we stress that for the Prop 218, we've, we're paying for
Oh, well,
a
sure.
one-off larger.
Well, we can, but
meeting.
that's going into stuff there wasn't even in question.
Okay,
No, I know, I mean, I don't want to I already said I was gonna send it to you first. I don't know why the argument is. I'm agreeing, I will
I
send it
don't
to you.
think there's an argument.
I just don't understand. If the more we add, then the more they may want to
You're right. Let's
figure out what we're doing, but the meeting place at the park is gonna work. But I still think, instead of the park, we should have set up a TV outside and set up chairs out in the parking lot, because we don't have internet down there.
well, but
Unless we could hotspot, but I don't think we have anything that could hotspot that much equipment.
the library has internet.
we're not talking about the library.
We're talking about the community
park.
building that we
Oh,
already
yeah.
reserved for the Prop 218 thing.
Oh.
Anyway, yeah, I never said I wasn't gonna have you review it. You can review it. It's just the shorter to the point it is, I feel, the better off it is.
I think so too. I agree with that.
Does the rest of the board agree with that? With the,
Well, you really don't, I'm
All
gonna
you
send
have
it to
to-
ad hoc. You can do whatever you want to with it after I give it to you. The whole idea was I was gonna do a rough draft, have Tiffany peruse it, give it to you, you make whatever changes you want, and you could send it as the board member, because it's really the response from the board. I was just gonna simplify it. As far as I'm concerned, you're welcome to write the whole thing, but I'm just gonna do a rough draft because your punctuation and grammar and everything is better than mine, so I'd rather have you guys peruse it after.
yeah, there isn't an ad hoc for that, that's the problem. So
So we're kind of
that's why
stuck
we
in
were
a catch
trying to do
22.
it for the board, yeah.
Which is why I thought that the next board meeting was gonna be in plenty of time, so on Tuesday, I will call the grand jury and ask them.
Okay,
And if we have time, then it could be the way we originally planned, which is, comes back to the board.
and if not, I believe that we had voted to say that you could send it by me just to peruse it, and I thought there was one other person that wasn't officially an ad hoc. But if it was fell before the board meeting, I thought we had already.
Yeah, it'll all
addressed
work
it. Am
out.
I Crazy?
It'll be fine. No.
I
I
don't
thought,
remember that.
I don't remember exactly here, but it's gonna work out
I
fine.
just knew
Tuesday's
Johnny
enough
was
time to
gonna
where
send
we,
it by you, and then you two were gonna do the grammar and the spelling, and then we would get it here, and then we would do,
Yeah, so either if we can, we'll get it here. If we're running out of time, we'll set the Sunday.
But it's a real good idea about the leak detection.
yeah, because that shows we're being proactive.
I agree.
Yeah.
we usually are.
Okay,
Okay, discussion vote on hybrid meeting solutions. Discussion vote on Zoom hardware as a service.
So you asked if there was any way to get a demonstration or something, how that thing works. They didn't have a recording of the meeting that I thought they had a recording of, but I pulled up a video. It's only a minute long, so super quick. I'm hoping that'll show you something about it with enough information. Let's see. Let me do this way. Hold on. Let me screen share it. Ooh. Silence. Yeah. I think I'm going through too many.
Too many platforms?
Yeah,
I
something
mean, the
inside
silence
something.
may be okay because we should be able to see kind of what's going on the screen, right?
And look at the CCs in it, those captions. in
Yeah.
different language.
What's in,
It's French.
It's in French.
Nice.
The word, mon?
Oh, maybe that's why we don't have sound.
Okay, basically, they're saying there's people remote and then there's them sitting in the conference room.
You reading French?
No, I watched the video already.
Bonjour à
So-
tous.
There's a picture of the boardroom, and then it's that device is capturing each person's likeness that's sitting in the boardroom and giving them each a frame. So it looks like everybody has their own frame.
Why is
Their
there
translation.
So the boardroom frames are actually thinner than but they allow for each person to be seen, and then the regular people frames are the same.
That's what it looks like.
Okay.
Translate.
All right, that was it. It was really short.
It's too quick for me to translate, but I could.
I like the way. it
Okay,
looks.
so what is the device that's actually doing that? That's this bar?
That's the bar, and then
And so the bar has a camera
It has-
attached to it with facial recognition or something?
yeah, so the bar has that. You plug it into your own monitor. But yeah, it's just a bar, camera, speaker, or camera and microphone in it. And then
And then the
It has
program, the
facial
Zoom program has
recognition.
facial recognition. That's why they're able to do the other little
the camera
audience
has to have
stuff.
the facial recognition,
Okay.
so that bar is capable of doing that. So it
Okay.
picks up, I think they set up to 8 faces and puts them on individual, you saw the individual frames on Zoom, so everybody could interact that way, as well as having still the main boardroom.
Do we know that the camera is going to be far enough back to actually get all of us?
I wouldn't.
I'm gonna say that absolutely, because that camera is enough to, I mean, that seems like it's farther away than it actually is, and it's just right there in the corner, so with the, camera, the recognition, I'm sure we're
That is true, the iPad does pick it up.
far enough, I think, we don't have a problem with that. I was wondering if there's a microphone on that, do they have external microphones for each?
Right,
board member?
because
Or do we
only-
still use the recorder in conjunction for your transcription? People could probably understand, but the transcription, would you still be doing it with that?
I think we need to.
I've been doing transcriptions through Zoom right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Because it's actually much clearer
Huh?
than even that recording, because like the people on Zoom who talk like Dee, it's super clear. It's much easier to hear him through that than this recording
Oh,
here.
good.
So thankfully, because.
And you can hear us well enough?
Yeah,
Well, that's the difference in technology.
And the nice thing about that is it records right to the cloud, so that's like, you don't have to worry about storage or like that.
yeah, it's all stored on our.
And you can also save all the chat, so if people are writing stuff in the chat, there's like an auto save feature for that, so if somebody was putting questions in the chat or something.
Right. So as far as the technology goes, I mean, they say it's supposed to work, that's the solution is, and that's that quote for hardware is this, that I showed you. So the 150 annually for standard pro, we already pay that. The webinar 500 at 400 a year, we already pay that. The new service would be the room, Zoom room, which is 500 annually. And then the hardware, which is the Meet Bar and Meet Pad, is 1,200 annually.
Really cheap per month when you think about it for the
1,700. Yeah,
technological
120.
advancement
And then-
that we get for it.
And then we are kind of dialed in for 2 years, and then they would upgrade
2-year contract at a time, but they upgrade your equipment at 3
in
years,
3 years.
which would be the Neat Bar and the Neat Pad is the equipment of there. And I think I'll ask one more question of them, and that is if they're willing to put in a 30-day trial, so we can see it in action.
I think they
Provided it-
absolutely should do something.
I mean, I don't know that they do it or don't do it, or she may have to ask special permission.
At that
But
point,
that
everything
might
would
be
be
something-
installed, so that would be,
Yeah, that's true.
that's problematic, because you've
No,
already
well,
got it installed.
yeah,
And
we're
then
just
they
paying.
can't, and then they can't reuse it. What I would like to hear, I'm not disagreeing with that, but what I'd like to hear is how many of these platforms do they have in service currently? Because that'll give us a good indication on whether or not they're working. If they have 10,000 of these platforms in corporations and boardrooms, or thousands, that's gonna imply to us that, there's not a problem with it, it's working fine.
But if it's brand new and they only have a few,
Exactly, so if it's, as long as it's not the new version, and it's one that's been tried and proven, then we would be good.
and the other thing you might ask is, are there any other water companies that use this, or any other governmental agency, governmental boards that use this, and then we could call them and say, how do you like it? Is
Right.
it working for you? Is it,
Most companies have a testimonial like that where you get some, a reference. That would be good.
Maybe it'd be infringed.
because I think you can get away with a little bit more as a corporate board than a public entity. So if it's, if it's sort of working half the time, a non-public board might, go, well, it kind of works.
Well,
whereas
maybe, but most of the things I see when I've gone into engineers and attorneys' offices and stuff, even though they're private, they have good technology in their boardrooms, so they probably wouldn't put up with it either if it didn't work. They want things to work right and correct.
And it might be interesting just to ask the home what they're using, because they were pretty advanced with their, years ago with, how they had like a big screen when we went there to
What was
that,
that?
to Home Ranch.
Oh, yeah.
They had a big screen and they were doing a presentation and they had, it wasn't like Zoom, but it was, I'm just curious if they've, if they got something like this or what they're doing.
Yeah, they may now, nowadays, but.
Because they tend to spend a good chunk of money on that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think you can check and just see how many people use it, and if there's a reference, we can call and ask somebody.
Okay.
That would probably make everybody feel better.
Well, that's
I mean, what's the alternative? Just sticking with what we got, can we?
Sticking with
can't.
the iPad and the,
I mean, it don't make any sense to stick with
Right.
it.
We're doing
When we lost, the last third of that meeting, it didn't make people feel happy at all,
Right.
that they
No,
couldn't
was
hear
the
the rest of the
Wi-Fi.
meeting. Yeah,
there's a laptop.
Yeah.
yeah, which is why we're gonna have two different.
But that's really the issue. That's a whole separate issue is fixing our internet.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying, we need to get like Zito as well as AT&T, and then in a pinch, you switch between the two, because neither one of them is truly reliable right now.
And what's the story with the 5G with the T-Mobile stuff?
That's only on a cell phone.
No, they
it's not.
have, they have different options, but my problem is in here, I have T-Mobile. I have one bar of service on my T-Mobile phone, sometimes two. And ever since they put up the AT&T towers, when I stopped getting 5 bars from T-Mobile. Now, T-Mobile and AT&T told me that it doesn't work like that, one wouldn't affect the other. But everybody that's worked here, like right now, it says 2 bars of LTE, and then it goes up sometimes to 1 or 2 bars of 5G sitting right here. So I'm not real happy with that either. Now, AT&T, I got 5 bars. My work on.
That's because their tower's right here and the T-Mobile towers.
What I'm
right
saying
by
is
house.
that fluctuates continually too. Sometimes it works great, sometimes it's not working great, and so that's not working real awesome either.
I think it's all bullshit. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, excuse me.
It's a technical
because
term, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'd just be curious if they gave a demonstration on the.
Anyway, I know for a fact from my house, the Zito Media works great when it's working, and then when it's down, it's usually a day. AT&T works adequate, and then when it's down, it could take a week or two. So if we have 2, because we have so much going on in here, and we need to put cameras back in on internet. We have 2 platforms. We could set up all this stuff on one, set up office computers and copiers on the other one. And then if something goes down, either way, you just change back over to the other one. Until we get something really reliable up here. And there's an article in the paper, I didn't read it yet, but it's talking about high-speed internet on the mountain, so I gotta see what
Yeah.
they're talking about on there.
There's not a whole lot. The internet services are gonna try to write letters.
Yeah,
Director Schillinger?
And then are we going to get a quote, before we set up all this stuff for putting like electrical in the floor and stuff?
well, it depends on how much you wanna go, because when we do that, we're gonna wanna upgrade.
Public comment,
Public comments?
public comment chimed in.
Okay, what does it say?
How
Okay.
much more money do your customers want to pay to watch these exciting meetings they do not attend? That was from Stan.
Uh, I don't know that they'll have to pay anything more if you're talking $120 a month for the service, but
We don't have that included in our Prop 218, Stan, and so when we did that, none of this was, I should talk this way, none of this is included. So the things that we looked at for the Prop 218 for the next 5 years, which was a 2% increase for this next year, and then another 2%, and then 3%, and we skipped the first year. So it's, yeah, 1, 2, 3, 3. Well, 1%, 2%, 3%, 3%. But what it comes out to is it's pretty small. So we didn't examine any of that stuff at all. And we're gonna do a 5-year budget, but I don't really see us having to raise anything based on just like the minimal amount of money we're talking about for technology improvement. I mean, all the money that we're talking about is really to pay for pipeline and stuff like that.
now, back to the other thing for the electrical, the electrical is gonna cost what it's gonna cost. We have to decide what we wanna put in, the electricians bill hourly. They're not gonna wanna give a quote to come in and, saw cut. We have to decide where we want the outlets, have them install it, but when we do that, that means the carpet's gonna be cut, this beautiful carpet we got here. So I think it should all coincide with what we talked about 2 years ago, about painting the office and doing the flooring, and when we have all the flooring torn out, paint the office, so you don't have to worry about the carpet, put in electrical, and then put in whatever type of flooring you want. Because this has never been done in the 30+ years this building has been in existence, so that's my 2 cents worth. Otherwise, we just cut the carpet, just leave it cut until we decide to do something with it. I think there should be an outlet in front of each person at the table, or outlet run over and conduit run underneath the boardroom to where there's outlets, like, if that's doable there, I've seen that in boardrooms. But there definitely needs to be an outlet at each place, and then multiples for all the Tiffany stuff, and one up there on that wall probably.
Or 2.
Yeah, two up on the wall, big one to where all the cords and everything are hidden. And it can handle all the load. So, I mean, it's just something we need to look at. And
I don't know what else to say.
It says, good, you have extra money, it is free. I think he's being sarcastic.
Why, anyway, does that still stand?
Yeah.
It's okay, Johnny, take a chill pill.
The other avenues, like I said, we have Keith Bedard come in and quote when we know what the requirements are. The stuff, all that stuff, and see if he wants to make his recommendations for the electrical outlets and stuff. He may even do the electrical. I don't know if he does or not, but he put in all the Cat5 plugs, all the for our phone system. So that's who I would recommend at least talking to, and have him come and say, yeah, okay, you need this, this, and that. I don't do it, and then we could get a couple of electricians to quote that many outlets and whatever they have to do to break the box.
And I just wanted to comment on the public comment that Stan and whoever else, I can't see who's commenting. But on the budget, if you actually look at the budget, we have not raised the amounts that we're spending on, we haven't done a lot of maintenance on this building in a very long time. So all the stuff that we had put in years ago to kind of cover that that hasn't changed. We haven't spent it. We've talked about it over and over again, but we haven't done it. So I don't think it is free. And I don't think I still think it's somewhat negligible because we already had that in many previous budgets.
The only thing we've done to this building since it was
Yeah, we
built,
haven't done anything.
the only thing we've done to this building is we
well.
put in new electrical outlets that the cord wouldn't even stay in because the cords were falling out on the ground. That's all we've done, and this building was built in the 80s. It's falling apart. We need paint and roof and carpet. And
But
we've been putting all that stuff
previously,
off because we have been trying to be responsible with,
well, we've also previously budgeted for that way before we
Oh, yeah.
ever raised rates.
yeah, every year.
So
we
the
budget
raising the
for it.
rates is not, I mean, yes, everything's part of the budget, but I don't think that that we're going to tack on extra money to people's bills. And, I barely handle my bill, so I'm certainly not gonna vote for tacking a bunch of extra money on to, just to make something pretty. But I do think that it's important to have it be functional.
I think, maintenance on a building is not for pretty sake, it's for retaining the building so it doesn't fall down.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're done with 13, right?
Well,
Are we gonna discuss
Tiffany has to
purchasing
find out a couple-
additional equipment?
Oh, that's
well, I
good.
think she needs to get, so once she has those testimonials.
Questions, then we'll discuss it, okay? So 14, review and approve meeting minutes for 5/19/2022 state update meeting.
Terry's not here. I would almost, do we have to do this
I don't.
tonight?
No,
Sounds as if you are. I don't know what that means. Hey Stan, is there any chance you turn on your
Right.
microphone so we can actually hear what you're saying? It's easier to respond to voice than it is text. I mean, on text, it
We
looks like,
can't
you're-
even read it.
on
I
text, it
can't
looks
read
like you're
at
yelling
all.
at us because you got everything in caps.
Can you hear me? Hello,
Hello.
Hey Stan.
this is Stan. Look, I'm not a member of Fraser Park. I don't get water from Fraser Park. So in somewhat, it's inappropriate for me to say something like this. But to answer the question that you're asking me about my question is, everything costs. And you guys seem to be talking as if, oh, well, this money is already there. Well, if it's already there, then you've been collecting money for something that you're not using. This is an expense, and I'm not trying to blame you for it. My understanding is that you're trying to respond to a requirement from a higher government entity. Why don't you just go to them and just say, look, we're a small outfit. We don't have a lot of money. We live in a depressed area. And
Actually, none of what we just talked about had anything to do with the grand jury report. It was stuff that we already had going on. It's two separate deals. We haven't discussed spending any money to appease the grand jury report.
okay, and I'm mistaken.
We actually
We
pay,
have-
so
we
Stan,
discussed no money. with
let me
the
just bring this up. So we have to pay our attorneys when they come out here. We have to pay our engineer when he drives out here. We have to pay anyone who is currently coming to us. I'm talking to you here, but it's actually here. We have to pay people who are currently Zooming in or whatever you want, virtually attending our meeting. And so we're saving money by having this technology. So the money that we're saving by having this technology is kind of a wash with what we were paying for years and years and years to have them come attend our meetings. They haven't been attending our meeting in person for quite a while now. So, and personally, I'd love to not attend our meeting in person, but I don't get to do that because the state of California doesn't allow me to. So, but I do think that it's kind of a wash. And are we hoarding money and squirreling it away? No, we are not, but it is in our budget. Our budget is just a projection. Our budget isn't actually the money that we don't save money on our budget, but we do project to fix stuff on our budget every year and have been doing so for like the last, I don't even know, as long as I've been on the board, but it's never been, like, we've never done it. So we
What-
put it on our budget and we try to account for it and, you know, shuffle stuff accordingly where we're not putting in for something else, but we haven't actually done it. Some of that is really critical at this point because the building is falling apart and we haven't put money into this building for, as long as I've been on the board and before that. So I don't want to sound, you know, but I don't think, you know, number one, I don't think that we're holding money that we shouldn't be holding. And I don't think that I think we're really, really careful on the money that we expend. I think we have people on this board that question stuff ad nauseum about what we're spending. And so me being one of them. And so I think that, I don't know. I know we have lots of conspiracy theories out there and lots of people who think that we're not being transparent when we are, and lots of people think we're like asking for money when we shouldn't be, but and you know, I'm never happy with rates raising. I pay rates in this town and I'm on a fixed income, I'm on disability. So, you know, I certainly am one that argues that as much as I can, but I also know what we need as well. So
Well-
I don't know, that's as best I can address that, but I don't think that we're just frivolously spending money or hoarding money or anything like that.
Well, again, let me say, I don't pay rates in Fraser Park. It's not my money. I don't have a dog in this fight. And if that's the way it came off, I apologize for that. The other thing is, I don't want to be taking time away from your meetings. But it just seems kind of odd to me, that's all. And that's what I was trying to say. That on the one hand, you're really trying to squeeze everything you can out of every penny. And this seems, you know, forgive me for saying it, it does seem like somewhat of a luxury. And that's all. And I didn't do this to start a fight or to criticize anybody negatively. But when you start, you know, getting up into amounts that are $1,000 or more in a poor community, you know, you have priorities, just like everybody else does.
Well,
And
Stan,
that-
part of it-
And if I've offended anybody, I really apologize. It's
We're
not my
saving that
business.
money by people not driving out.
Part of the whole issue, the reason why we're going, not only are we trying to help people that are stuck at home, but the modern world isn't like it used to be. Nowadays, people expect social media and being able to attend meetings from their house, and we're helping people. They can't get here. They can't come down here. They don't have the car or the vehicle or we're just trying to make it easy for people to attend the meetings and participate so we can be more transparent, which is why we went through the whole process of our transparency certification. That's all we're doing. And we would be doing this without the grand jury doing their investigation, is my point.
But it helps.
And the upgrade on it, well, not really, because we were still doing it. And the upkeep on the office, you don't buy a house and not ever put another dime into that house. You have to do that in order to keep your house still worth something, so.
Okay,
I think we beat those.
yeah, I think before.
State update meeting, review and approve.
So what I was gonna say, I'd like to move that we table, but I need to ask Tiffany if we absolutely have to have this before the next meeting, which I don't think we do. We usually have to have it for the planning meeting, for the state update meeting. Or the
You mean
claim.
the approved minutes,
The approved minutes,
I-
because,
send them. They're gonna go on Carlos's claim as is. Sometimes they're signed, sometimes they're in draft form. He gets whatever form the minutes are when he's ready to do his claim. So if they're not approved tonight, he will have a draft the draft version only to submit for claim 18.
the only reason I'm saying that is there's only two of us that physically attend the
Right, I
state
know what you're
update,
saying.
and one of them is not here. So if we vote on it, basically it's just me, and then everyone else is just going, oh, okay, yeah, I vote on it, which Terry brought up last time, which is why she abstained last time. I understand that, of course, we can't all abstain, and we could never pass our minutes, so, but I just feel like with Director Garcia not here and him being a part of that, that it's kind of I don't know, I'm not really okay with us.
Right, that can
Approving them.
take as long as it needs to as far as
Okay.
approving, because it's an ad hoc meeting, it's not even an agendized
Okay,
meeting.
so,
Yeah, I'll just give them to Carlos as is.
so I'm gonna move that we table the approval of these minutes until the next meeting, the next regular meeting.
I'll second that.
Okay, roll call directors, Director Garcia absent, Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I, 4-0, 1 absent. And you know, I've been thinking about what Terry said since last meeting, and if I'm not at this meeting, how can I attest to it? How can I?
But you have to realize that we're both recording it, so there's a recording, and you as a director could come in here or go online and listen to the entire recording, although we don't post them online,
These are
so it's
online.
approved.
The state meeting is only our physical microphones, it's not Zoom.
Right, so, but you could come in here and try to listen to it beforehand, so you know exactly what's going on. So there is some level of ability to know exactly what happened at that meeting, even though you're not present. I don't think that's not a serial meeting to listen to the meeting after the fact by yourself. So, so I think that would be, there's no way that all three of you could abstain, or we could never ever pass these minutes.
Okay,
It's
and get
not
the
a big deal.
secretary, or,
Well,
I don't think it's a big deal. I think we're making a big deal and we're wasting a lot of time.
well, I need to explain. Last time you wanted to approve these minutes, you said, oh, there are things that need to be changed, but I can't speak to them. I can only speak to Tiffany about it. Well, it's like, well, if that's the only case, then none of us should know about anything in these. And that's why I abstained, was because you were saying,
No,
I'm not gonna tell you, I'm only gonna tell Tiffany.
Well, that's just because she was trying to be respectful to me.
I'm trying to be
about not-
respectful for
yeah.
what we
No, it
voted
was-
on doing.
She was
Yeah.
just being nice to me, and that was, it wasn't that nobody could hear it, she just didn't want to call me out in public and be like, you messed up your minutes. She was just being.
Because I was doing that a lot, and we had an issue with that, and it would be dumb little things that I don't need to say in public, because it'd be like oh, there's an S missing here, or something really dumb. That was like me nitpicking at our clerk, which I don't want to do. So, I mean, that's the issue, and so we voted as a board that we would try to look at the minutes ahead of time, make all those changes with Tiffany, so that when we actually see the minutes, they already contain all of the changes, or anything that's like really important.
These are not the corrected minutes. That we
They
get.
are sometimes the corrected minutes, it depends on how fast we get to Tiffany. So if I tell Tiffany,
Wait, I don't get any of the minutes until I get my board packet.
exactly,
I read it. If I have something, then I tell her. But these are still, the ones that I've had in my board packet are the ones that I'm approving.
right, but if I get this board packet 2 days before the meeting or whatever, or, yeah, I mean, we don't always get it, but like Tiffany called me this time to ask if we needed to add stuff to, to the minutes, but to the agenda for next time. And in me telling her that, then she was able to see if she had all that stuff in her minutes.
And that's why you approved the packet you got in your packet, you approved those minutes with corrections. So if you're sitting here, you're perusing it, you're going over it, Tiffany can make the
Yeah, and
final
if there's
changes.
some dumb little correction, then we could just, because we're voting on it.
I mean,
that way.
if, I think the issue comes down to, is if you have a set of minutes and it's totally not what you said, then that's when we call it out in the meeting. I mean, all this other stuff is little like, usually words or punctuation or what have you.
Something spelled wrong, just silly stuff.
So we're gonna table the.
table the minutes, okay.
Okay, discussion,
Future agenda items?
Not even sure why we still have that on. We logged that to death all the way through the meeting.
well,
It's a nice head.
yeah, but I think you have to have it
I-
in case somebody has something they want to add.
Yeah, somebody could bring up, yeah, Terry?
Yes, we will be having a meeting in a month or so with the entire public. I mean, all of Fraser Park, hopefully. Representative of every house. Are we to wear our shirts, and which ones?
She's
Does
asking
it matter?
for the public hearing and the public information.
dress
meeting.
code.
You know, if.
I didn't ever attend the other meetings. I mean, I attended, but I was a public. I wasn't a board.
We don't all have the same shirts, so I don't have
You
those
just wear
anymore.
what you want to wear. There's no dress code.
I have a shirt like this one and that one. Aren't those all three the same?
No.
These are the same, but Johnny has the older version.
Well, I'm wearing an older version tonight, but I probably have that.
Well, this is the current
That's
version.
that's
That
the
was a
current.
one-time version.
Oh,
They used to be
We
on the
got
side
the
of a
old
truck.
oh,
We
We
got,
tried that. Nobody liked that. We liked the pump. So we went back to the pump. So that was just a one-time issue. Because I found a Polaroid of a picture on the side of a truck.
and I'm sorry,
But
but
this
I got my
isn't
shirts
on
from
here, so
Becky
we
because
can't really.
Anyway, we can just
they
finish the
shrunk
meeting.
and I got them.
We can finish the
You can
meeting
get
and then talk about it
Put
after.
it on, no, we can't, put it on the agenda if there's a question about what we wanna, if we wanna have a uniform.
I mean, you guys can talk about it. That would be certain. I'm talking about, I can talk to explain
okay.
the logos.
Do you want an agenda item?
You can just, we should just
Well,
have an
Well, we
agenda.
don't have time to get shirts printed up anyway, so.
No, but we
Director
should just
Schoenberg?
have an agenda item that talks about any issues we need to talk about before the public meeting. So that we can address them with the board.
To that.
yeah, I'll make an agenda, I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
Any second?
Also,
Roll call directors, Director Garcia absent, Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
aye.
Gibson, I, 4-0, 1 absent. We are adjourned at 8:00.
All right.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night, folks.